Chapter 8, we're going to combine sections 1 and 2, where we learn to find perimeter and area of polygons. And our essential question, how do I use perimeter and area to solve problems? Any side of a rectangle or parallelogram can be chosen as the base. The height is measured along a line perpendicular to the base. So in a rectangle, you have a 90-degree angle in every corner, so the base and the height will be perpendicular already. In a parallelogram, you have to measure the height in the middle of the shape, so anywhere from the top parallel line to the bottom parallel line in this image would give you that 90-degree angle. The sides are also going to be the same length, however they are not considered the height because they're at a diagonal. Perimeter is the distance around the outside of a figure. To find the perimeter of a figure, add the lengths of all its sides. Area of rectangles and parallelograms is found by multiplying base times height, or you could consider it length times width. A triangle or trapezoid can be thought of as half of a parallelogram. When referring to the measurements of a rectangle, the terms length and width are sometimes used in place of base and height. So the formula for the perimeter of a rectangle can be written as 2 times the base plus 2 times the height, or 2 times the length plus 2 times the width, or 2 distributed to the length plus the width. Let's find the perimeter of the figure. 16 and 20 are on the outside, 8 is in the inside, so 8 is not part of the perimeter. We need to add all the side lengths. Because this is a parallelogram, we know that there are 2 sides that are 16 units and 2 sides that are 20. We add those 4 values together for 72 units. Area is the number of square units in a figure. A parallelogram has the same area as a rectangle with the same base, length, and height. Areas of triangles and trapezoids are half of what a rectangle would be or a parallelogram. So a triangle is just half times the base times the height. But in a trapezoid, it's basically 2 triangles and a rectangle put together. So it's half the height times the 2 bases added together. And the 2 bases would be your parallel sides. Let's find the area of the parallelogram. Now the 16 is no good to us because that's a slant height, and we don't need a slant. We need a straight vertical direction or perpendicular direction. So we would multiply 8 times 20, and that's 160 square units. Use a composite figure to estimate the shaded area. Try to divide that into shapes that we can work with. We can work with two rectangles, a larger and a smaller, and they're almost completely filled in. The area of the larger rectangle is 2 by 4, which is 8. The area of the smaller rectangle, 1 by 2.5, which would be 2.5. Add that together, we have approximately 10.5 square units of shaded area. Find the perimeter and area of the figure. This is not one common shape, so we need to divide this up. We could do this one of 2 ways. We could divide it with a straight line across and subtract the shaded area. Sorry, got a little crazy there. Or we can look inside of the shape and we can divide it up as 3 rectangles. Whatever way works best for you. First, let's find the perimeter. So we would do that by adding up the lengths of the sides. But notice the length of the side that is not labeled is the same as the opposite sum of the lengths of the sides. So 6 plus 6 plus 6, 18 units. So if we add all those sides together, the 5, 6, 3, 6, 3, 6, 5, and 18, we get a perimeter of 52 units. Make sure that you add up everything that's there or not there that should be included. Now let's find the area. If we divide it up the way I showed you on the previous slide, we would have 3 different rectangles, a 6 by 5, a 6 by 2, and another 6 by 5. We add those areas together, 30 plus 12 plus 30, for 72 units squared. Notice the difference in labeling. When we're doing area, we have a squared after the unit. That doesn't apply to the number, it's just a label. Find the missing measurement for the trapezoid with perimeter of 71 inches. If we know the whole perimeter is 71 inches, we add up the values we have, subtract that from 71, and what's left, 16, is the length of the side. Remember, a trapezoid does not have to have equal length sides. It's not like a parallelogram. Graph and find the area of the figure with the given vertices. Well, we have 3 points, so we have a triangle. So we need to find the area, which means we need the base and the height. The base would be 6. The height would be vertically perpendicular from 0, 5 straight down to form a 90-degree angle. So it's half the base times the height, which is half times 6 times 3, which is 9 square units. Now we have a trapezoid. Remember, shapes can be turned all different directions. So the two bases right now are vertical, but they are the parallel sides. So we have 8 plus 4, and the height between those two sides is 6. Formula is 1/2 times the height times the quantity of the two bases added together. We add the bases together for 12. 12 times 6 times 1/2 is 36 units squared. Use the figure to find the following measurements. The perimeter of the triangle. In the triangle we have 15, 9, and then we have to combine 4 plus 8 for 12. So we would add up those three values. So 12 plus 15 plus 9 to give us our first answer. Oops. Perimeter of the trapezoid, we have 8 by 10 by 10 by 16. 44. Perimeter of the combined figure. Now we're looking at the outside of the shape, which is 10 by 10 by 16 by 9 by 15 by 4. So everything except the 8, we add those up to get a combined perimeter of 64. Notice all three of those are just centimeters because they're just adding up the lengths. The area of the triangle. Again, we need the height, and then we need the base. We don't need the hypotenuse for any reason. 1/2 times 9 times 12 is 54 centimeters squared. Lastly, we need the trapezoid area. We have the two bases that we add together for 26. 8 would be our height because it's at a 90-degree angle. So we add 10 plus 16 for 26, multiply by 8 and 1/2, and we get 104 centimeters squared. A homeowner wants to plant a border of shrubs around her yard that is in the shape of a right triangle. She knows that the length of the shortest side of the yard is 12 feet, and the length of the yard is, the length of the longest side is 20 feet. How long will the border be? We have a right angle. A squared plus b squared equals c squared, Pythagorean theorem. So 12 squared would be a, the shortest side. 20 squared would be c, the longest side. And then b squared is what we're looking for. So we square those two numbers, subtract 400 minus 144 to get 256, and we take the square root of b to get 16. So let's find the perimeter of the yard. We have 12, 20, and 16 for sides. Add them up for a total of 48. Let's make sure your notes are filled out completely. There was a lot of information there, but it was primarily review, so we went through it very quickly. Make sure you've written some questions that could be answered from the material in your notes. Review your notes and complete the summary when you're all finished.